Welcome to Let's Talk Evolution, the podcast where real-life experiences meets the complexities of today's tech industry. Each episode, we dive into a specific topic with thought leaders who know the systems, the structures, and the nuances that drive the industry. This series is all about unpacking the inner workings of tech and learning from the people who understand it best. I am Danelle from Evolution Recruitment Solutions, and today I am your host. In this episode, we're diving into the behind the scenes of what it takes to scale AI responsibly, securely, and strategically, especially across diverse regions like Southeast Asia and Australia. As AI continues to evolve and cloud-based solutions become more accessible, companies are under the increasing pressure to innovate quickly without compromising on governance, compliance, or resilience. So how do you build a scalable infrastructure that's not only works technically, but also respect regional complexities and evolving risk? To help us unpack all of this, we are joined by Tung Vu, a seasoned engineering leader with deep expertise in building robust AI and data platforms at scale. Tung Vu is currently the Chief Revenue Officer of GreenNode, and I'm excited to have him on this episode. Welcome to the show, Tung Vu. To start us off, could you tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself?
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for having me here. Hi, everyone. I'm Tung. I'm responsible for go-to-market, product management, and revenue at GreenNode. So we are official NVIDIA cloud partner in the APAC region. Previously, I used to work for VMware in Singapore and Salt Lake City more than 10 years ago. Moved to the US and now based in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, where our product engineering team is based.
Amazing. Thank you for the introduction. So today we're, of course, going to be speaking about AI, which is very relatable to your company, and we have 3 questions to cover. So we'll start with the first question, and that is, with the rise of AI cloud solutions, how do you approach building scalable data and AI infrastructure across different regions, especially considering the geopolitical sensitivity around Southeast Asia and Australia?
Yeah, sure. So at GreenNode, we really focus on serving the regional, especially Southeast Asia enterprise, digital native enterprises who need local AI infrastructure that really serve either their fine-tuning or inferencing, workloads. So when we look at the different market, for example, in Singapore, you should prioritize the local providers for, let's say, for governments, for banks, where you need to comply with the data regulation, right? But then the challenge with Singapore is the limited data center, and then the AI infrastructure require very high density data center, which leave the mid-sized enterprise, startups, and especially researcher universities struggling. So they typically go outside Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia to find AI cloud provider layers. So that's how we come into the picture to serve those mid-size, Singapore market. For Thailand and Vietnam, where we have the local AI cloud regions, our strategy is slightly different. We can serve a little bit broader segments because we have the local AI regions, AI cloud regions there. But essentially, our ideal customer is digital native enterprise, because we started by serving internally the VNG, who have a lot of large scale system like games, payment, messaging. So that's how we approach the local, the demand in each of the market, and really targeting serving the Southeast Asia Gen AI workloads.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. And on to the next question. When launching AI products that rely on external APIs, for example, like OpenAI, how should companies think about implementing guardrails and handling sensitive data while maintaining security and compliance?
Yeah, so when we talk to enterprise, to the point, majority of them want to started experimenting with the OpenAI or Mistral API. That's the phase 1, when they can experiment fast, time to market fast, and prove the ROI. But then after they pass that, then they encounter several challenges like privacy, how to make sure that employee do not send the sensitive data to those providers. So typically, for that next phase, we call phase 2, they typically move on to the open source model, where they self-hosted the open source model like Llama or DeepSeek or QN on either our cloud infrastructure in Thailand, in Vietnam, or their own on-prem infrastructure. So that's approach number one. And then from the whole stack perspective, we typically recommending them to look at very comprehensive framework from the infrastructure layer. Need to take care about the data center, whether it's ISO or SOC 2 Type 1, right, or Type 2. And then at the API level, it's better to have the API gateway so that they can measure who's sending what outside. They can make sure, minimize the prompt injections. At the model layer, when they implement, especially for big enterprise, it's better to implement rack architecture, not just for guardrails, but also to prevent hallucination, right? So that's typically the frameworks that we see, in order to implement the guardrails.
I see. And you work with a lot of companies. Do you think that is one of the biggest problems of people that don't really know what they need to even launch AI products in their company?
So I would say not every enterprise we talk to have like dedicated team for AI, dedicated team for ML ops, dedicated team for infrastructure. But then the biggest question is, where should I start, right? So majority of them struggling with the first low-hanging fruit, the business use case. So 3 use cases that we see typically emerge as a low-hanging fruit. Number one is the code generation, where the Gen AI assistant tool can help them achieve, like, improve the productivity like 20%, 30%, so that they can roll out the new products, new engineering feature faster. So that's the first one. The second one is about sales and marketing, where they can implement chatbot, voice bot to advise the end customer better and in a timely manner. And the third one is more about the internal operations or process, where they have a lot of silo data. Now how they can help the employees, right, to improve the efficiency or retrieve the internal information, either their own policy, either their own internal products information faster. So that's the 3 low-hanging fruit in terms of use cases that we see as to start with.
I see. Yeah, I think those are also kind of companies you're working with are also kind of pushing out products like that. And you mentioned just now in the first question that there were a lot of limitations, for example, like in Singapore. So from your experience, how should engineering teams be structured when building AI products, especially more to balance innovation, scalability, and risk management?
So I can share based on our experience. It's no one size fits all, but typically we see the first one is the approach, right? So depending on the company side, the objectives. For us, because we are the product company, every quarter we need to roll out either new product or new features to satisfy the demand or the requirement from our existing and our new customer. So we structure that product engineering team into a pod or modular approach or modular team, right? So in that modular, we have AI engineer, we have ML ops, we have front ends who take care of the self-service portal, the cloud, and then we have the data science. So we structure it that way. And then at the back end, we also have the infrastructure, the system architecture team. But I would say GreenNode is pretty, mid-size. We have like 300, 400 people. So that's how we structure our engineering team. Now, for other smaller startup, we see only 1 or 2, rockstar engineer, they take care of everything. And then the other spectrum is the big enterprises or bank. They're even more granular, right? They have big teams, big money, and a lot of the use cases. So that's how we structure. I would say one of the trend that we see recently, a lot of the AI tool emerge so that it can help to improve the efficiency of the engineer and the product team.
And so you mentioned some tools. What tools have you seen recently that you think is very helpful with your team?
Yeah, so internally for engineering team, I heard they use GitHub Copilot, for example, not completely replace the engineering code, but as an assistant. So that's for the engineering side that at least I know of. And then from my side, more about sales and marketing, right? We use ChatGPT, of course. For example, as I mentioned, we really targeting the digital native enterprise. Now, let's say I have the existing customer in Thailand, in Vietnam, or in the US. How can I coach my sales team to use ChatGPT to prompt any customized, personalized message to the new prospects? So that's how we leverage AI internally to help sales, marketing, front end, and the back end engineering.
I see. Okay. And I think just last question, since you have a bit of time, what trends in AI do you foresee in the next 1 or 2 years? Or what are you seeing now?
Yeah, so we see that company, let's say in the AI space, they really focus on the niche AI application that they have the very strong expertise in, and they tend to outsource other things, either infrastructure or even model ML ops to the vendors. That's one approach that we see mainly for like a startup space. But for enterprise space, we see more like they want to own end-to-end the whole supply chain, and then they tend to more risk averse in that sense. So that's the two spectrum of trend that we see.
And that brings us to the end of this episode. A huge thank you to Tung Vu for sharing his insights on what it really takes to build a scalable, secure, and regionally aware AI infrastructure. And of course, for breaking down the balance between innovation, compliance, and technical execution in such a clear and practical way. If today's conversation sparked ideas or helped clarify some of the complexities you've been grappling on your own AI journey, we'd love for you to share it with your network. And of course, be sure to stay tuned for our next episode. See you then!